It's the Rob Carson Show. Are you ready to be podsmacked? Now, here's Rob Carson.
Hey, welcome to the show. For those of you downloading from a host of different sites, including iTunes, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, Google Play, Google Plus, all of those. This is episode number 186 of the podcast. For those of you watching on Liberty One TV, hello. It's Casual Friday. Wearing a baseball cap today. Just got off the air at KXNT in Vegas. In Vegas, man. Yeah, I like Vegas. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, it's a great radio station, and I've been up since about 4 in the morning, so I thought I'd just throw down some entertaining stuff on this. Well, I'm recording this on Friday the 13th. Yeah, you know, I'm not a big believer in Friday the 13th. I mean, I believe it happens, but obviously, yeah, if you're afraid of it, wow, you might want to consider upping your meds. Just saying. Just saying. Did you realize every single year on Friday the 13th, the U.S. economy loses about $900 million because some people are afraid to go out? There you go. This is only the fifth time in the past 3 decades that Friday the 13th has happened in October. Previous ones were in 89, 95. Oh, I remember that 95 Friday the 13th in October. That was a crazy year. That one in 1995. 2000, that was pretty good, but not as good as 95. It's serious. And then 2006, that was pretty good, actually. We had kids, and we just walked under ladders and had black cats pass in front of us and all that. 74% of people say they've had bad luck on a Friday the 13th in the past. I have bad luck every day. I had it every day. What the heck? Every single year has to have at least one Friday the 13th, and some years can have 3. The next one is in April of next year. So make your Friday the 13th plans. You might want to book your hotel rooms now because they just load up, especially the 13th floor. Yeah, April. Just be ready for it. Let's say. All right. What are we going to get into today? Well, we've got a lot of stuff. Harvey Weinstein, whatever the hell. El Creepola. Now that many people know what he is, what he's all about. And I got to tell you, I think this is the best thing that could have happened to Hollywood. I think it was the best thing that could happen to Hollywood. You know, you and I, and then listen, it's not uncommon for powerful people to subjugate and even victimize people. There are some people who will do that. He obviously knew that he was a power player. He obviously knew that the threat of ruining your career in Hollywood would get women to put out. And if they didn't put out, he'd just go ahead and rape them or molest them. And they would not say anything out of shame. They would settle out of court if they would drop the charges and keep his job. In just a moment, I'm going to share the latest about him, including his contract. He had a contract that allowed him to sexually harass women. One of Harvey's former assistants is speaking out. It's a guy. He said that he thought it was just consensual philandering. I should say. He thought it was just consensual philandering. I didn't know anything was going on. I mean, I worked for him for 10 years. I never expected it. The assistant spoke to CBS this morning on Thursday and went to work for Harvey Weinstein. Heard he was kind of a bully. He said that Harvey took many a closed-door meeting with actresses in hotel rooms and suspected that the producer was cheating on his wife with women he met, but he insists he never knew Weinstein was harassing or assaulting women. He's the only person in Hollywood who, if he's being honest, didn't know. Former assistants said those meetings were organized entirely by Weinstein himself and kept apart very meticulously from the rest of the staff, so he could molest and rape women. He's the only person who didn't know. Christian Toto is a friend of mine, and he is a Hollywood insider. He is also a conservative movie reviewer, and he had a pretty interesting column at it's HollywoodandToto.com, HollywoodandToto.com. And I spoke to him this morning on KXNT in Vegas. There were some brutal lessons that we've learned from this. They knew. Everybody knew. Everybody knew that he was doing this. There were many victims. Many had their careers ruined. Another thing, the A-list conscience has hit an iceberg. This is great, actually. Maybe it'll help to turn this kind of behavior around. The late-night team is even worse than we thought. And it is... The late-night host wouldn't touch this. And finally, it became so overwhelming they could suddenly make a punchline out of it. But they did it very unwillingly. So they're not only in the pants of liberal Democrats in Washington, D.C., but also in Mr. Weinstein's pants as well. The press is worse than we thought. We found out that NBA spiked a story about this guy. We found out, I believe it was the New York Times spiked a story at one time. Saturday Night Live is worse than we thought. Same thing. Last week, this story was all over the place. They didn't touch it. And the last thing we learned is that there are many more Weinsteins out there. There are many producers, directors, and nobody's saying anything. So I hope this, I want Hollywood to be embarrassed and shamed by this. Every job that I've had since the early 90s, I've had to watch a sexual harassment video. Never even thought about using a position. I've never had really a position of power. But I've never thought about using any sort of a position to just take sexual advantage or harass somebody. It just, to me, it was being a cad. And I love my mom and my sister and now my wife. And it's an insult to women. And this guy's just an absolute abject scumbag. Hillary Clinton, she had no idea. Now, if you believe that, I'll sell you the Brooklyn Bridge. You know, whatever cliche is. Everybody in Washington, D.C. knew it, too. This is a very intimate circle of friends. And there are people in Washington, D.C., the same dynamics happen in Washington, D.C. that happen in Hollywood, in state houses around the country. Politicians wield power, bang interns. You think that just happened with Bill Clinton? You kidding me? A lot of places, interns are fresh meat to some politicians. Happens all over the place. And Hollywood and Washington, D.C. are the worst examples of it. The worst examples of it. But she said she had no clue when she was talking to Fareed Zakaria. Here she is.
I was just sick. I was shocked.
I'm sure you felt the same way when Monica Lewinsky. You probably already knew about Monica Lewinsky probably before it was even announced.
Was appalled. It was something that was just intolerable in every
Your husband did it
way. And, you know, like so many people who've come forward and spoken out, this was a different side of a person who I and many others had known. He had $30,000 a plate fundraiser with you in his New York apartment. Okay? It doesn't get any more intimate than that. Well, it does, but, you know. The past.
Would you have called him a friend?
Yes, I probably would have. And so would so many others. You know,
they're thick as thieves.
People in Democratic politics for a couple of decades appreciated his help and support. And I think these stories coming to light now and people who never spoke out before having the courage to speak out just clearly demonstrates.
What about the women who had the courage to speak out about your husband molesting them? What about them? You encourage these women, you support these women, but the other ones, you tried to destroy their lives and in some case did.
That this behavior that he engaged in...
This is just amazing.
...cannot be tolerated.
It honestly, I don't have words for her. That she even speaks about it is nuts. That she even speaks about it. Bill Clinton's not saying anything, of course. I mentioned this yesterday. You know, it's the the conspiracy theory, the vast right-wing conspiracy, and all of that was fake. Well, why is he not talking if it was all fake, if it was all made up? Harvey Levin from TMZ was talking on Fox News about Harvey Weinstein's contract with his company. Listen to this.
So let me explain it to you. The short story is this. The Weinstein Company allows for sexual harassment under the contract it signed with Harvey Weinstein.
Bill Clinton's like, hey, man, I wish I could have got a contract like that.
Here's what we know. In October of 2015, Harvey Weinstein signed a new contract with them. And under the contract, it says that if Harvey Weinstein gets sued for sexual harassment, for any other kind of misdeed, and the company has to pay the judgment or a settlement, Harvey Weinstein can make everything good by doing two things. Number one, he has to pay the company back for what it paid the victim. Number two, Harvey has to pay a fine.
There's no tenet in the contract that says you'll be fired. There is, in every other contract, there's a morality clause. And if you did this almost anywhere else, you would be gone. Your career would be over. This is evil. This is just plain evil.
And the way the fine is structured, for the first time he has to pay a settlement, the first time the company has to pay, Harvey has to pay a $250,000 fine. For the second judgment or settlement, he has to pay a $500,000 fine. For the third, $750,000. For the fourth or any number thereafter, he has to pay $1 million each time the company has to pay a settlement or judgment for any kind of a sexual
let me ask you a question about.
So he had impunity, essentially. It was expensive, but it wasn't enough to get him fired. Here's a little more from Harvey Levin.
When the contract was signed, a member of the board of directors has now said they knew about settlements. He says we assumed that they were consensual sexual relationships that they wanted to keep secret.
No, they didn't assume that. They knew what he was doing. They had heard the stories. They knew that he paid eight women for sexual harassment and even rape.
Now, they can fire Harvey Weinstein for fraud, but there's no fraud when they make an assumption without even asking him.
Now, this is where it gets ugly because he now has legal grounds to sue their asses off.
So then,
not grab their asses, sue them off.
The issue is, how are they able to fire him? Because they just summarily did it. They didn't send him any kind of a notice as to why. Yeah. And the contract says he has a right to go into mediation and arbitration. So it looks to me, based on what I've seen, that he has a real case against the company for being wrongfully terminated. And now the bigger issue is the company structured a contract that essentially allows for sexual harassment if you're willing to pay a monetary price.
That is pretty sickening, right? I mean, wow. I hope they get their asses sued off. Not because I want him to receive monetary damages. No, but they should be punished too for their behavior. Really sick. I mean, really sick stuff, man. A lot of Democrats are giving their money back, supposedly, that Harvey Weinstein gave them. The Democrat Party's donating $30,000 from the $300,000 that they got from him over the years. So they're giving 10%. Hillary Clinton she says she's giving it all back, $13,000. It looks like, you know where her contribution is going to go? The Bill, Hillary, and Chelsea Clinton Foundation. That's where 76% of the Clintons' charitable donations go. Can you believe that? They give money, they write it off, and they give it to their own slush fund, where very little money gets to the people they're supposed to help, under 10%. Wow. So $13,000 is what she's gonna get back. Now, he gave them a lot more, okay? He gave $250,000 to the Clinton Foundation since 2003. Yeah. So she's not giving back any of that. Just the $13K that he gave her re-election campaign. Nice. Classy. That's quite a racket, isn't it? I mean, you thought that him... Bill Clinton writing off his underwear, which you would not want to see under a black light. I mean, whoa. It would just jump right out from the leopard skin print. Just, whoa, what is that? That's not barbecue sauce. But if you thought it could get any worse, well, it just did. Yeah. Donating money to your own charity so you can write it off and you could use it to fly around the world in private planes and in expensive hotel rooms and party your ass off and bang interns. Okay, here's what's happening in Las Vegas. I did the show this morning, and as far as the Mandalay Bay Massacre, some new things have developed. Police had said that there was a 6-minute delay between when the shooter shot Jesus Campos, who is the security guard on the floor. Stephen Schruck was on the floor as well as a maintenance worker. The shooter shot 200 rounds down the hall, struck him once, Jesus Campos. And the police said that he waited 6 minutes to begin the shooting spree. They were saying that it happened at 9:59 is when the shooter shot Jesus Campos, and 6 minutes later at 10:05 is when he started shooting out the window. Well, MGM Grand is saying now that's not accurate. They're saying that it actually was 40 seconds. Okay, it was 40 seconds between when he fired down the hall and when he started shooting people. Now, I would tend to say that makes sense because he is, by firing an automatic weapon down a hallway, if he has in his mind that he's going to murder a bunch of people, and he did, once you've sent that signal, you have to get to the business of what you were doing immediately because you've already made yourself a target. You've already sent down the hallway bullets. You've already alerted everybody on the floors, above, below, on the same floor. Everybody's going to know. And also, you got to know that the security guard is going to be calling. Maybe he didn't know Jesus Campos had been shot, whatever. And why did he use the weapon in the almost fully automatic mode to go after one person in the hallway? I'm kind of curious about that. Why didn't he just use semi-automatic? Whatever. The only thing I could say is that maybe Jesus Campos came into the hallway. He saw Jesus Campos in the hallway with the commercial, or not the baby monitor you had outside, and he panicked. I don't understand because he's just a security guard. Nobody has come into his room. Well, everybody stayed out of his room because he had the do not disturb up for days. I guess when he saw a security guard, he panicked. And I would say that you'd have to get to what you're going to do immediately. You'd have to. But whatever. Anyway, that's what they're saying. I have a couple of questions that I thought were kind of interesting. The Sheriff Lombardo, has said that they were surprised when they saw that Jesus Campos had been shot. They didn't realize it. The SWAT team was surprised. So either Jesus Campos is one of the most badass people in the history of mankind and just didn't bother to tell hotel security he'd been shot. Maybe that's the case. But he didn't. He did not. What is that sound? I don't know if you're hearing that. I got a little sound. The other thing is he was wearing gloves. He apparently had severe allergies to cleaning fluids, and he wore gardening gloves quite frequently, actually. He wore gardening gloves quite frequently. So there was that. And then also, when you are firing a gun that many times, they tend to get very hot. That's what I've heard. And Coulter is confronting NBC News with a story. They say that he made $5 million last year playing video poker. She said that's a lie. She said, news reports with a straight face. Las Vegas gunman earned millions as a gambler. A Los Angeles Times article has headlined, in a solitary world of video poker, Stephen Paddock knew how to win. The story says that Paddock's gambling was at least a steady income of over a period of years. She said, I don't know all the ins and outs of Paddock's life, but that's a lie. How do reporters imagine casino owners make a living? Any ideas how all these glorious lobbies, lights, pools, and fountains are paid for? How do they think Sheldon Adelson and Steve Wynn became billionaires if gambling is a winning proposition for people like Paddock and therefore, by definition, a losing proposition for the casinos? The New York Times explained that the top video poker machines pay out 99.17%. That means that Paddock was only losing 1 penny on the dollar, if true, but still losing. Video machines are rigged. So are the old-fashioned slot machines. They're rigged. They are computers. They are playing you. They know your hand. Okay? They know your hand. That's why I never understood playing. I never understood playing video poker or video blackjack, because the dealer sees your cards. The dealer, knows exactly what you're going to have to beat. Say, for instance, if you got a 17 and the dealer, or you got a 15 and the dealer has a 14, the dealer knows that they need to beat you with a 2, and the computer will do that. So you have to be very, very good, impossibly good, to win. Gamblers who are beating the house are not given a $500 glass of port. He was getting a lot of comps, and the reason why he was getting comps was because he was losing, and he was losing a lot of money. And as much as you'd like to think the high rollers are always winning, not so much. Not so much, particularly with the program machines. Apart from the outright theft, the only way to have an advantage over a casino is by card counting. That's not cheating, and it doesn't guarantee a win. It merely allows the gambler to make a more educated guess as each card is played, thereby tilting the odds ever so slightly in the favor. Still, if the casinos suspect customers counting cards, they get taken off the premises. The video poker is programmed to ensure the house wins. Not all the time, but at least often enough to make casino owners multi-billionaires. Anyone who plays video poker over an extended period of time will absolutely 100%, by basic logic, end up a loser. A loser. And you can look for machines that might pay out, but even then, I heard it takes hours to find those machines as a professional gambler. Why would Paddock unload 200 rounds of the hallway at a security guard who was checking on someone else's room before beginning the massacre? I'd like to know. Why haven't they asked that question? Why was Paddock wearing gloves if he was about to commit suicide? Okay. A couple of other things. She said, where's Paddock getting his money? And she said the most obvious way he was making money was trading in the black market of firearms. She said that she was using money to be laundered at the casinos, and he was selling guns illegally. If true, it would not only explain the arsenal in his room, but also raises the possibility of either an accomplice or different perpetrator altogether. If this movie were a script, a terrorist would go to Paddock's room on the pretense of buying guns, kill Paddock, commit the massacre, put his gunshot residue-covered gloves on Paddock's dead hand, slip out of the room. Because the hallway was empty except for a bleeding security guard by the elevators. For at least 2 minutes after the shooting stopped, the stairwell was clear for more than half an hour. So there's no evidence of any of this, Ann says. But on the other hand, there's no evidence for the version the media are giving us. It's amazing. I mean, it's just there's so many unanswered questions, and there are so many things that I guess the media is not curious about. So, and by the way, say for instance, if it were a terrorist, why would he have left a note on trajectory on his nightstand? Why would he brought a sledgehammer to break out windows? Why, if they were terrorists and they were committed to killing people, would they not kill themselves as martyrs? Okay. Paddock and other professionals had figured out how to make the machines pay, tipping their average by a few hundredths of a percentage point by identifying the right games and maximizing points while playing. Very unlikely. I heard this guy, to win $5 million, would have had to play $500 million in a year. Would have had to bet $500 million altogether. Not losing it all. But you know what I'm saying. He was a math guy. according to his brother. He could tell you off the top of his head the odds were down to 0.1% on whatever machine he was playing. He studied like he was a PhD. It was not silly gambling. It was work. It was work to him. Those familiar with the world of video poker say winning has become much harder at casinos, particularly on the Strip, having added machines that hold a better house advantage. So, I don't know, man. There are just a lot of questions. There are a lot of questions. Some heroes, too, by the way, and I'll mention them. Kurt Fowler, he's a firefighter. And he is from Lake Havasu City. He's at Sunrise Hospital in Vegas, and he covered his wife to save her life. He got shot in the leg. Here's a story from Channel 3 in Vegas.
Somebody actually trying to kill you is a feeling that's almost undescribable.
Kurt, a father of 3 and firefighter from Lake Havasu City, shielded his wife at the concert, risking his life to save hers.
And that was one of the hardest moments of my life. When he was on me and shielding me and told me that he had been shot.
The bullet that hit Kurt shattered 2 bones in his leg.
As I'm missing essentially 2 inches of bone. It's all just fragments and debris from the bullet.
Kurt's bones will grow back. In the meantime, the healing touch of his family and his 10-year-old daughter, Timmery, is making a big difference.
I like being in here. It's just super hard to be with him, knowing that he's hurt and that I can't do anything for him but be here.
But perhaps Timmery and her mom just being here at his bedside
I love you.
is what's helping Kurt heal.
Awesome. See?
Double the heart.
Yeah, he is missing. I didn't realize the bones could grow back like that. When you're missing 2 inches of femur, that's pretty heavy duty. So, pretty amazing. Pretty amazing. There's another person that I just want to mention, and her name is Tina Frost. She's 27 years old. She lived in San Diego. She came to the concert with her boyfriend, and her mom flew in from Maryland, is at her bedside. And I saw her story yesterday. She was shot right here, right through the eye. Okay. It's unimaginable. Shot through the eye, bullet kind of went up here, removed her forehead. Bullet fragments, shrapnel, will be in her brain the rest of her life. The eye's gone. This bone's all gone. This is all gone. So I don't know what they're going to have to do to rebuild it. Plastic. I no idea. She is going to be blind in one eye. She's been sitting up for days, which is remarkable. I mean, remarkable. And she has been squeezing the doctor's hand on command and wiggling her toes on command. That's huge. That's gigantic. As we go through our lives this week and doing the show in Vegas makes it a little bit more personal, although I don't know anybody who died there. But there are people who are burying their loved ones. There are people who are going to memorial services and having candlelight vigils. There are people who are in agony right now. And there are people in the hospital who've been severely wounded, like Tina Frost. And I hope that you'll keep them in your thoughts and prayers, because you're lucky. You're fortunate that you haven't had to go through this. You haven't had to go through this. Just unbelievable. Unbelievable. Okay. So the Puerto Rican mayor, who is really been shredding Donald Trump, and she's a radical leftist. She's been feuding with him, and now she's accusing him of genocide for not doing more to support the recovery efforts. She's the mayor of San Juan. Her name is Carmen Yulin Cruz. Issued a startling accusation in the text message sent to Luis Gutierrez, who's a radical leftist from Illinois, Democrat, and basically said, I ask every American that has love and not hate in their hearts to stand with Puerto Rico and let this president know we will not be left to die. This is a freaking piece of biting the hand that feeds her. I asked the United Nations, UNICEF, and the world to stand with the people of Puerto Rico and stop the genocide that will result from the lack of appropriate action of the president that does not get it because he has been incapable of looking in our eyes and seeing the pride that burns fiercely in our hearts and souls. Go to hell, woman. Go to hell, you wretched, awful harpy from hell. She's a Politico. She wore a shirt during an interview, nasty. Like the nasty, that pornographic and stupid poem the 20-whatever-year-old wrote that Ashley Judd read at the Women's March where everybody was wearing their P-word hats. She wore that. That's real professional. FBI is reviewing allegations of Puerto Rican officials withholding hurricane relief. FBI Special Agent Carlos Osorio said they're supposedly withholding these goods and these supplies and instead handing them out to people who really need them. They're assigning them to their buddies, first people that have voted for them or people that contributed to their campaigns or whatnot. Do you suppose this wretched, awful mayor could be doing just that? I wouldn't doubt it one bit. I would not doubt it one bit that she is withholding, giving to her donors, and then blaming Donald Trump because the supplies are not getting to the people. I don't doubt that. That's how badly political she is. Local officials will first distribute their relief to their political allies once federal officials leave the area. This back, according to Osorio, we'll distribute the goods and supplies because we have to follow certain protocols, and that's what local officials said they are doing when they are waiting for federal officials to leave, and the allegations are they're handing out backdoor stuff to their buddies. So I would not doubt it one little bit that this awful woman is doing just that. And then, of course, blaming the Trump administration for not sending enough. It really is an insult to Donald Trump, to FEMA, to the military. We've got the U.S.'s comfort down there. It really is an insult, and I wish she'd just shut the hell up and be grateful for what we're sending 1,100 miles away. Because it's not like driving a truck to Texas. It's not. Tennessee Titans player Richard Matthews tweeted Thursday he'll quit the NFL if the league implements a rule forcing players to stand. Right. He says, no, I will be done playing football. I hope the Titans call his bluff. I really do. I want to see if he'll quit. Some sort of a compromise is going to be reached, or the NFL is going to be screwed this season, and maybe for good. The American people, 80% of the American people, they want players to stand for the national anthem. Maybe they'll ask the players who don't want to stand during the national anthem, stay in the locker room, stay in the tunnel, whatever. Al Sharpton was talking on, I believe it was MSNBC, about the NFL and about Jerry Jones in particular. And, of course, he used a popular expression that some people are using, saying that Jerry Jones and his ilk are plantation owners.
But if it's about the flag, isn't the flag about the freedom to protest the flag?
That is what they ought to be saying.
Again, there's no freedom to protest the flag in the NFL. It does not exist. You do not have a right to your First Amendment rights. The NFL is allowing you to do it. That's it. The NFL is allowing you to do it. If they decide that you stand during the national anthem, and by the way, it is protocol in the NFL. It is protocol in the NFL to stand during the national anthem. You stand. Okay? That's just it. You stand.
And I think that is what he's addressed. But let me go back to your question. Why wouldn't the league say this when 75% of the players are black?
Here we go. He's looking through racial colored glasses.
How many, what percentage of the owners?
He doesn't know any better. He doesn't know anything else.
Are black.
Is it none?
So you have an all-white league owners making the decisions. Now, you put that with the fact that Jerry Jones takes a knee one day in the name of unity, but says, I'm going to bench you if you take a knee. That's a plantation kind of mentality.
No, it's not. It's an insult to those who suffered in slavery. You pompous, arrogant ass who wears $2,000 suits.
So you can bend on your knee with me. And if I'm writing the script on what you get on your knee for, but don't you dare bend your knee by yourself, boys.
Boys.
And think for yourself. Why was he on his knee if a knee should take you out the game?
Out the game. Al, it was before the national anthem. It was showed to show the players that there is unity there. And then he stood for the national anthem. They stood for the national anthem. That's it. Jerry Jones says, listen, I stand with you. I want you to work. I want you to have a great job. I want you to enjoy the National Football League. And I will support you in anything else, but I'm not going to support you in this. It happened before the national anthem, Al, you big fat well, you're not fat anymore. He's lost a lot of weight. He looks like a bobblehead. And or a Pez dispenser. Oh, you got to hear this, man. This is a fantastic story. It is also an incredibly stupid thing to say by a small-town sheriff. You're just not going to believe this. Steve Prater, sheriff of Caddo Parish in Louisiana, apparently is very strongly opposed to releasing some prisoners from jail. But what's going to happen is 60 out of 350 state prisoners will be let go for they're in there for minor offenses. Okay, they're in there for relatively minor drug offenses and whatnot, and it's a cost-saving thing, right? It's also we overpunish some people for things that some drug crimes that honestly, really. Here is why the sheriff is upset that some of these prisoners are going to be released.
They are a necessary evil to keep the doors open, that we keep a few or keep some out there. And that's the ones that you can work. That's the ones that can pick up trash, the work release programs. But guess what? Those are the ones that they're releasing. In addition to the bad ones, and I call these bad, in addition to them, they're releasing some good ones that we use every day to wash cars, to change oil in our cars, to cook in the kitchen, to do all that where we save money. Well, they're going to let them out.
He wants to keep people in prison because he needs them to work. Do you remember Shawshank Redemption? Of course you do, because everybody watches that movie. At least most guys have seen it 500 times. That's what the warden did to Andy Dufresne. The warden had the only person who could have exonerated Andy Dufresne murdered, shot, because he wanted to keep Andy Dufresne there to shine his shoes and do his taxes. Okay? This is Andy Dufresne. This is the warden. Wow. I would be afraid to drive through that county. Oh, and this gives me an opportunity to do my Morgan Freeman impression. Are you ready? Andy Dufresne lived in Shawshank Prison most of his life. That was me. Not too bad. Not too bad. All right. Trump on healthcare. A real quick thing on the healthcare. Donald Trump has signed an executive order, and a couple things will happen to Obamacare. And this will precipitate the Obamacare decline and collapse. And that's great. I love it. Cool. Going to allow younger people to buy cheaper policies because they're healthy. Right now, you've got younger people paying for things they'll never need and expensive policies they can't afford, so they can subsidize older people. That's exactly what goes on in the workforce for Social Security. Same thing. Younger people pay, older people get the money. There's no savings account. You don't have a savings account. What you have is a projected number on a piece of paper. That's what you have. There's no money. There's no big bank account with all the thousands of dollars you paid into Social Security. It does not exist. Doesn't exist. Also, it'll allow you to purchase insurance over state lines. Why in the hell you can't, I don't know. That will force insurance companies to be more competitive majorly when you have to do that. Because right now, you only have a certain number of insurance companies in a given state, and you have to choose from them. You open it up to 50 states. Whoa. Some people are mad that the subsidies are going away for people who can't afford health care. They were going to go away anyway. They were going to go away. The reason why the subsidies exist in Obamacare originally was to get insurance companies to sign into the exchanges. They wanted to get every insurance company in America to sign onto these government exchanges. And then as the program went on and on, the subsidies would go away. This would be ultimately a losing proposition for the insurance companies. And you've seen this without Donald Trump across the country in states like Kansas, where there's only one insurance company in the exchange now, and the public option, and Obamacare. Okay? As the insurance companies drop out, and I believe what the Obama administration wanted to do was bankrupt the insurance companies, truly. And ultimately, when the exchanges collapse in a given state, the people in that state who had signed up for it would have to be on government health care. The road to single payer, folks. That's what it's all about. That's why the subsidies are going away. And Donald Trump is saying today that essentially saying, hey, you know, subsidies thing, come to the table and let's work things out. The Democrats have nothing to do with this. I think it's a great art of the deal on his part. So making the subsidies go away, I think he is using to get Democrats to come to the table and reform this and fix it. Let's do some light stories, shall we? I think some light stories would be fun on this Friday the 13th. I'm excited about this. You know, our Arbys, we have the meats. Arbys is announcing venison sandwiches on the 21st of this month in 3,100 of the locations across the country. October 21st, first come, first served. So funny, this piece of material that I'm reading here, it calls it deer meat. It's not deer meat, it's called venison. Normally, they've been doing it in Wisconsin, Minnesota, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, and Georgia. They're doing it all over the country. They also say they're going to start serving an elk sandwich in 3 big elk hunting states, Colorado, Wyoming, and Montana. They're getting the money, getting the elk, or the deer from farms in New Zealand, I believe. We should be harvesting deer here. We should be able to buy venison commercially here. And like I think there's a grocery store here called Sprouts. I think you can get, not sure if you can get venison. You can get some other meats, pretty crazy stuff like kangaroo. I bought some kangaroo. I put it in a chili. It was pretty good. Let's see. Oh, this is a funny story. This will be my little kicker. Apparently earlier this week, last weekend, a family left one of their kids in a corn maze. You know those corn mazes they have? And apparently a 3-year-old boy was left in the maze in Salt Lake City, 7:30. The boy wasn't found until about 7:30 near the entrance of the attraction. Police said it wasn't until Tuesday morning when they got a call from the family. They reported the child missing, saying they believe the child left him at the maze. Here's the excuse the father's saying. He's saying, I'm a polygamist. We have 14 kids, and that's a lot to keep track of. Good luck with that. Good luck with that. All right. Before I go, a couple of quick things. If you would please, here it is. Yeah. Sign on here. This is a website where you can get T-shirts, hats, mugs, stickers, hoodies, laptop covers, phone covers with my politically incorrect designs. I have a friend named Sam Cangelosi, and he has designed a bunch of really cool designs, a bunch of cool stuff about standing for the anthem. There's some really cool stuff, slightly political. There's some great stuff if you live in Maryland. There's some great stuff if you live in the Kansas City and Missouri area. This is one of the designs. Veganism is an eating disorder. It's one of my personal favorites. And if you have a vegan in your life who's kind of a pain in the ass and they show up and they are really picky and they won't eat what you feed them, wear that. Wear that. Second one, Che Guevara, murderous commie douchebag, not a hero. Give that to your kid to take to college for people who think he's some sort of hero. Proud climate change denier is there. Jan Brady, Russia. What happened in Russia? They're not following Russia anymore with Donald Trump. My kid is not a snowflake. Here it is. My kid is not a snowflake. Calm down. She lost. He won. Get over it. This is one of my favorites. Suck it up, snowflake. If you live in Kansas City, this one. Kansas City, right there. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Got your safe space right here with your little safety pin. Remember that? Okay. You ever see a Prius with the bumper sticker says, war is not the answer? Well, I hate to tell you this, folks. Sometimes war is the answer. That's a great T-shirt if you got a veteran in your life. You can't coexist with religious symbols when some want to kill you. All right? All of those, again, are available at tpublic.com/user/conservatees. tpublic.com/user-conservatees. I'd greatly appreciate it if you do that. Also want to mention Liberty One TV. This daily podcast on Liberty One TV, and all of the archives are on Liberty One TV. It is a terrific endeavor by Terry Littlefield. He's a hell of a nice guy, and he signed me, and I do this every single day. So if you would become a member, man, that would be huge, because I would like to make this into it allows many people who otherwise maybe would not be able to express themselves and their views in a very public fashion to do that. It used to be that you could just get your information from newspapers, from television, from radio. That was about it, right? Now you've got people who haven't gotten into the broadcast industry, perhaps, or I have been in the broadcast industry and I'm not in it right now. It allows voices to be heard in a profound and awesome way, and it allows people with studios like me to do what I do. And I hope that you enjoy the content we do. LibertyOneTV.com is $10 a month, $99 a year. There's a special platinum level, $1,000 if you want to be a sponsor on every one of the podcasts. And I have several podcast brothers and sisters on this LibertyOneTV.com network that are putting out some great material. Also, I'm on the Podcast Radio Network, podcastradionetwork.com, every day at 5 o'clock Central Standard Time. Oh, and I'm on Liberty One TV every day at 4 o'clock Central Standard Time. I thought you should know that. But podcastradionetwork.com and libertyoneTV.com. Also, I've told you that my podcast is available on iTunes, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, all the sites you normally get your podcast from. I mean, literally every one of them. I think I'm on every one of them. Sounds like Podcast One. I'm not on there. But all you got to do is just look up The Rob Carson Show. The Rob Carson Show podcast. If you have an Alexa, just say, Alexa, will you please play the Rob Carson Show podcast? Okay. I would like to just say, enjoy your Friday the 13th. Enjoy your weekend. I'm going to go ahead and say go Chiefs because I live in the Kansas City area. God bless you guys, and we will see you very soon.
Thanks for listening to The Rob Carson Show. Friend him on Facebook at Carson Show, on Twitter at Rob Carson, and on Instagram, I think Facebook and Twitter are enough for now. We'll see you soon.